This angry campus occupation is filled with entitled kids, poorly raised, who live in a natural state of entitlement and sloth. Who needs classwork? Mommy and Daddy will still flip me the keys to the Beamer.
Yeah, that's Fox's own Cruella DeVille. Laura Ingraham talking about the campus protests and those privileged children. Let's not be bothered by the fact that's actually not who's protesting, but that's the attitude of the right and their approach to those protests. That was about 2 weeks ago. You know, they were run 24/7 on the Fox News network. It was a joke for a while that they're the campus protest network, but they dissipated in the last week as graduations occurred. Has a lot of folks buzzing about whether Biden is losing the youth vote, especially minority votes. You know, he went to Morehouse College, a historic black college in Atlanta, men's college, to give the commencement speech last week, and by all measures, it was a pretty good speech. Here's a short clip.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? Betrayal of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
Nothing wrong with that. I've heard our own guests on this show repeat those exact words of what black men face in our society today. And we've heard them literally say democracy isn't the same for them as it is for you and I. But, you know, Fox News has a different opinion, and most of the right does. And I won't show you a lot of those clips because it's the same old crap, but I will show you this headline. Here's the headline on Fox News website, and I'll read it. Biden's race-baiting Morehouse speech condemned on social media. Quote, biggest racist on the planet. Yeah. You know, for a month, all we've heard about is that these campus protests against the Gaza war were all Biden's fault. Depending on who you ask, he either supports them and is thus backing Hamas, or he's an anti-Semite for questioning Israel's handling of the war, or he's a rabid supporter of genocide. It kind of depends where you stand. There's a question on a lot of people's minds right now in an election year is, will this destroy the goodwill and hard work Biden and his administration have put in to outreach and policies that appeal to our youth and our young voters? It seems like the perfect time to actually talk to a youth advocate, a pro-democracy advocate who's got a unique story and is doing a unique thing right now. So with that, let's talk to him and get on with the show. I'm Fred Wellman. This is the Midas Touch Network on democracy. Oh, man, welcome back. I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy, the FP Wellman. I think I mentioned that about 30 seconds ago, but I mentioned it again just so you don't forget. We're right here at the Midas Touch Network. I'm so excited to have this show. As you know, we've talked about these campus protests and the issues with you, so I'm thrilled to have an actual young man I've gotten to know the last few months through his work with a number of the organizations I love and support. Sam Schwartz is a 20-year-old college student. His cousin was killed in the Parkland shooting. When he saw what adults weren't doing to fix the problem, he took up the cause himself. Today, he's leading a coalition of youth advocacy groups on a nationwide tour to save America, visiting key swing states to motivate young voters and support Democrats. Sam, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
You know, I opened with that clip of Laura Ingraham smearing your peers on college campuses as pampered babies who get their BMW keys. I'm sure you know how that is. It's been an insane spring across the country on many college campuses. I'm sure you're aware. And over the Gaza war, protests, violence, a lot of attacks on President Biden. You know, you're getting ready to lead a tour with a coalition of all my favorite youth advocacy groups. What are you hearing about this specific issue and the damage it might be doing?
On the issue of the Palestine-Israeli conflict, we have people. First of all, no young person wants to see innocent Palestinians be killed.
Right.
But on our team, which is the Tour to Save Democracy team, which are literally youth activists who are going across the country, stopping in vulnerable Republican seats to flip them blue. These are people who are advocating for the election of Democrats, advocating for the election of Biden. People on our team, we have people who range all across the political spectrum on that issue, people who take part in these campus protests. Every single one of them is agreed on the fact that electing Biden and electing Democrats is the most important thing for 2024, preserving democracy. All of these issues that are absolutely domestic based, these people are still taking part in that.
Yeah.
So while these campus protests are going on right now, this is kind of like, this happens in America. People have the right to protest. The uncommitted movement, it's akin to what we were seeing in 2012 with Obama. That uncommitted movement is the exact same thing, and Obama won overwhelmingly. So I think President Biden has a great shot at re-election. And then I was talking to you before this, but we saw that poll that came out recently about the issues that matter most to young voters, and this conflict is at number 13, the bottom of the list. I think it's at 13% of the issues that matter most to young people. Things like gun violence prevention, abortion rights, economy, healthcare. That is, top 4.
Yeah,
and that's to be expected.
Yeah,
not to say the issue isn't important, but
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's easy to focus on the especially on the violence. And again, I think people forget when they talk about the issue and Biden being accused of, genocide, drill and stuff. By the same token, you've got people like Senator Tom Cotton on the Republican side calling for the National Guard to invade campuses. And then I don't know if you saw J.D. Vance on TV advocating an Orban-Hungary style thing where some foundations literally take over campuses to make them right think. So I don't think the Republicans are doing themselves any favors in this issue at all, are they?
It's normal fascist Republican talk that they love to do. They cannot stop. It's literally like they just can't. Their natural instinct is to be autocrats. They're sick in the head, honestly.
They just can't get out of their own way, and I'm fine with that. I joke all the time on here. The best thing for Republicans to hurt themselves is just let them talk. Especially the sweepstakes to be the VP candidate. They're all doing whatever they can, from dressing up like clowns the same way as Trump to these kind of things attacking our youth. But kind of circling back though, as in the bio, I talk about your young experience. I believe you lost a cousin at Parkland, if you told me correctly. Yep. We're 6 years on. What led a journey from 14-year-old to here at 20? I mean, you're younger than my kids. How'd you get here?
I'm only here on accident. I never ever once thought in my life that I would be doing this kind of work, nor that I ever want to. I did not wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this political activism work where it's a thankless, grueling job. It's absolutely just, I do not like doing this work. The only reason I'm doing it is because my cousin was shot in his English classroom with a gunman who had too much hate and too easy access to a weapon of war. That's the only reason why I'm here. And that story is all too familiar to many young people and many just people, Americans throughout this country. I've met so many people who have that exact same story, how, they're fairly familiar with politics. They've seen some shootings now and then. It's sad, but they never thought they would be sitting where I am, or they never thought they'd be walking the halls of Congress trying to convince Republicans on both houses of Congress to get on board. Yeah. It's just not something that you have to think of, especially as a kid. And I was 14 when this shooting happened. My cousin Alex was 6 months older than me. We would talk about Marvel movies. We would, go out to movies and talk about music. It was never, we were playing Fortnite. It was never, ever, ever something that we were thinking would happen, because that's not something that kids should be thinking about. So I'm here right now because I feel a duty to my cousin to kind of not have his life be in vain. I want some good to come of what happened in Parkland, the tragedy that it was of 17 innocent people being slaughtered and 17 more people being shot and thankfully survived. Yeah, I want some good to come of that. I don't want other American families to go through what mine did, and we're still recovering. It's 6 years on. This is an everyday thing in America. We have over 600 mass shootings last year. We're on track to beat that this year. This is just not something that young people should ever be dealing with. And I'm thinking of the future that I want, the kids that I want to have.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the future that I want for them is not this reality. The path that we're on right now is a dark one. But the reality is that we can stand to make it a lot better. The Biden administration and Democrats have done so much positive things on this issue, and of course other issues as well, that it's just we have the opportunity in 2024 to kind of make a slam dunk on Republicans and say, you won't take action on these issues. You won't protect kids like you protect guns. We're just going to vote you out of office. And that's what we're doing this summer on this tour. It's a simple matter of fact. If Republicans will not protect children's lives and everyday Americans' lives, they're going to have to find a new job. And it's not going to be in Congress.
I love it. And I think your framing is excellent there. For your generation, especially, who's had to go through these things, we have seen progress. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And the Republicans are in every way trying to stop that. And there's nowhere better place to do that than, in the ballot box. But they're in tough places. We have a lot of tough races. So let's turn to the tour. I think you launch on July 12th. You're starting in Texas. I was struck especially, and we'll start there, just how many groups are involved. And we've had a number of guests, Next Gen, we've had Santiago Mayer, Voters Tomorrow. I mean, I've had a number of our groups that are participating in this. I mean, first of all, how many groups got involved? And how did you bring such a coalition together to start this in the first place, this idea of going across the country?
It wasn't anything special that I did. I don't have some secret code, or I'm not, it's literally just like every single person I know and every single person in this pro-democracy space is absolutely 100% committed to doing everything we can to ensure that Republicans and Donald Trump cannot turn America into a right-wing Christian nationalist dictatorship. That is bottom line. Every single person I know is doing everything they can to make sure that does not exist.
Yeah.
And this tour is an extension of that, of the fear that we are facing right now. And so, there's 25 national partner groups, Voters of Tomorrow, wow. CAP, Forward Blue. There's so many other ones that I don't want to forget everyone. It would be a long time for me to just kind of
should have written a list.
But if you want to go to our website, votersafedemocracy.org, you can see all of them. Shameless plug, but yeah, no, you can see all of them on our website, and they're all doing every single thing possible to make sure that we can kind of survive this election and still have some semblance of America that we know and love. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm honored to be working with all of them, and I'm excited to tell you more about the tour.
So you're starting July 12th in Texas, as we mentioned. Where are you guys going from there? I mean, how'd you pick the stops you're going to? How many stops are there? I mean, what is this tour all about?
So we will start the tour on July 12th in Texas. Okay. It will take place over 29 days, 21 stops. And we selected these stops because just straight up, these are the facts. These are the districts that are the most vulnerable for Republicans in 2024. This is the way that Democrats will have a majority in the House again, flip the House, and expand our Senate majority. This is how we do it. We stop in places like Texas 15, which we're going to on July 12th, and then we're going to Arizona, California, and then up to places like, Iowa, New York, Ohio, Michigan, down to Virginia, down to Florida. I missed some states there, but these districts, and we'll talk about more about like exactly what they are. These districts are absolutely in the realm of possibility for Democrats to flip. We have really, really amazing quality Democratic candidates, pro-choice Democrats, people who want to take climate reform, people who want to solve the issue of gun violence, against Republican clowns who are absolutely unfit for office. They have no idea what they're talking about. They want Trump. They're 100% just MAGA cronies at this point. They want Donald Trump to come into power, stay there for a third, fourth, fifth term, have Barron be president after him. That's what these people want. And so like, it shouldn't be hard for people to win. That the Democrats are absolutely just way more of a quality candidate than the Republicans are running against.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it. But this tour is just kind of making sure that we do it. Yeah. And getting people out to vote and getting them excited and securing the future for the next generation and securing our freedoms that Republicans have stripped away over the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and give me examples of some of the targets you're looking at. So who are some of these Republicans and the Democrats running against them?
So for example, well, we have a lot of really, really great candidates running in California. I'll talk about those because they have actually
which is key. And I think a lot of people forget that California does have a Republican representation, and it's a place that we could push and we can flip some districts. So it's funny when we were at the Lincoln Project. I remember when we did our strategy, people kind of gave us crap because we targeted New York and California seats. But you and I know those are places we can flip, and when we control the House is important. It's so close right now. Every seat counts. So yeah, tell me about California.
Yeah, so California, I'm pulling up my list here.
Cool.
We're stopping in CA 40, 45, 47, 27, and 3. Those are 5 basically swing seats that Democrats have the opportunity in California of all places.
Yeah.
A lot of people think California is like absolutely 100% blue. And, presidentially it is. Biden will win that state easily.
Yeah.
And we'll win every Senate election. But on the House side, there's definitely more Republican, more conservative districts, maybe in like rural California and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we're stopping in, places like California in those 5 districts, and maybe a 6, we'll see. But this is because like we picked these districts because in 2022 in the midterms, Democrats just barely lost. There's one district we're going to that Democrats lost the seat by like 500 votes, 2,000 votes. These are districts that President Biden won in 2020, and then we lost in the midterms. Yeah. So like we know that we can win here because we've won here before. Yeah. It just comes down to like how effectively we can organize and message our pro-democracy democratic values, which we're going to do this summer.
Wow, I love it. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a break for our sponsor real quick. I've got a great sponsor. Lumen's joined us again this week. We'll talk to them real quick and come back. I want to talk a little bit about the success we've seen. Now, turning back to where we are, how we got here. And we'll be right back. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And then on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, sleep, and even your stress management. Now, all you have to do is breathe into this device, your Lumen, first thing in the morning. You'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it, before or after workouts and meals. So that way you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Now, look, after 20 years in the Army, being starved in Ranger School, living on combat rations while deployed, I've had to learn really well how my metabolism is my body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. And honestly, guys, as I've aged, I've become more increasingly aware of how I must balance my exercise and diet. Our metabolism is the center of everything our body does. Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits for me, including helping with my weight management, improving energy levels, getting better fitness results, and better sleep. And I really love how Lumen gives me recommendations to improve my metabolic health every single day. Now, look, I've been on a macro management diet program before. I've tried all different kinds of techniques. I learned the key to metabolic health is through these many years is something called metabolic flexibility. And that's where Lumen has really helped me. It refers to your body's ability to efficiently switch between using different fuel sources like carbs and fats. There are preferred times to use each and how well you can switch places you on the metabolic flexibility spectrum. Now, after getting to know you through your breath, Lumen gives you a metabolic flex score that can track and improve upon each day instead of a set macro number you use without changing. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me and use code FRED to get $100 off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.me and use FRED at checkout for $100 off. I highly recommend it. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring our episode. And we're back. So, and I talked a little bit about these insane polls. You talk about these and American perspectives on the economy. I'm going to talk about a poll when we're done here where like 49% of Americans think unemployment's never been higher and it's actually never been lower in 50 years. People are blaming Biden for a recession that doesn't even exist. And I've seen firsthand they're actively pursuing, the Biden administration especially is actively pursuing a pro-youth agenda. I mean, in many ways, what have they really accomplished for your generation in your eyes? And as you step out on this tour, what are you highlighting of the actual successes to counter the narrative of failure?
Yeah, so I saw that poll that came out. It was insane. I think it's a failure of the media, and I really don't know exactly like what happened there. I mean, maybe they're just focusing on Trump too much. And the same can be said with the issue of Biden's accomplishments for youth, which I'll tell you about. I think people here know what they are, but everyone watching this is weird, as Rachel Bitakofer says. Like, if you're involved in politics and you are watching, these kind of political shows, you're not an everyday American. Most Americans, like the 100 million people who don't vote, are totally disengaged. They have no clue, and they likely will never be engaged this election, which is crazy to people listening. On the same thing as this poll coming out about the economy, most Americans don't know what Biden has done for the youth, which has been the most in any president in the last 30 years, really. Yeah. I'm going to talk about the issue of gun violence prevention first. He opened the very, very first office of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which was something that youth activists, thousands of people were asking for his entire administration. And then finally, he just did it randomly. I mean, it wasn't randomly. I'm sure there was a lot of work behind the scenes. But he, announced the news. He invited a whole bunch of youth activists to the White House, and it was incredible. I mean, it was like the president is listening to young people. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was the first gun legislation passed through Congress in 30 years. Wow. Can you believe that? In 30 years, after all these mass shootings, I mean, there wasn't even anything federally passed after Parkland, right? And so I'm so happy that kind of stuff is happening. With it said, it's not nearly enough. Yeah. President Biden says that all the time. Yeah. I mean, that's something that he says all the time. However, this is all he can do within the range of his presidential powers is what he has done. Yeah. There's nothing that he hasn't done. There's nothing that this is all he can do on this issue right now. And that's why we are doing this tour, so that we can get a bigger Democratic majority and pass things like an assault weapons ban, red flag laws, universal background checks expansion, safe storage laws, all of these things that Republicans consistently block. I'll tell you the story. I was I was on the Senate floor while the Senate was Democratic Senate was voting on the assault weapons ban. This was in December of 2023. We have a Democratic majority in the Senate right now, and they voted on the assault weapons ban, Chris Murphy's universal background checks, and Ethan's law, which is a safe storage bill. I was on the Senate floor as I watched Republicans block all three of those bills as there were two mass shootings happening at the same time. The irony of that was not lost on anyone there. I was with a full cohort of gun violence survivors and family members of kids who have been killed in shootings. And as Republicans are blocking this, there's two mass shootings happening at the same time in this country. So Republicans are unable to do anything. That's why we're doing what we're doing this summer to elect a Democratic majority that will, because they consistently prove that they will. It's just that President Biden, under these circumstances in Congress, is all he can do.
Yeah.
On the issue of climate, he opened the Youth Climate Corps, which was another thing young activists in the climate space have been asking for. His student loan debt repayments, which have been I'd say over $100 billion at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, these are things that young people absolutely have been asking for so long, and President Biden is consistently delivering on. And it's just like he is a little bit restricted in what he actually can do because we have a split Congress. One half of Congress in the House is beholden to Trump and corporations.
Yeah.
They can't even decide who they want their speaker to be.
Yeah.
And so, let alone, and they're banning TikTok, let alone taking action on these issues. And that's just what we're doing this summer to make sure that we actually have people in power who will prioritize these things.
Great. I love it. And you kind of touched on it there. On the other side of the coin, we've got an anti-youth agenda in many ways. In every way possible, the Republican Party has proved over and over they have no interest whatsoever in helping our young, and they have disdain for them. And that's what we heard in that opening clip from Laura Ingraham. There's just almost a poisonous disdain for your generation as being lazy. We saw that here in Missouri. I'll give you an example. You probably didn't, maybe you did catch it because it went viral. We had a state senator. They're actually trying to repeal or in place a child labor law here in Missouri within the state house, and a state senator woman got up and said how it's because kids are lazy, and she started working when she was 9. But kids today don't want to work, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, where are we at that we got this stupid idea that this generation, guys like you, of course, who are in politics longer than I've been, you've been in politics longer than I have, which is bizarre, are lazy. So, what else? The agenda we're hearing, you saw the speech at the NRA. What did Trump say to the NRA that kind of shocked you?
Listen, it's not shocking that it's coming from Trump.
I guess that's true.
Because the guy he was the worst president on guns ever.
Yeah. Which he's proud of. He boasts about it.
Yeah, maybe Bush was worse. No, every Republican has been awful on this issue, but Trump goes to the NRA convention, and of course he's going to, suck up to them because they're big Republican donors. And he basically just says, if you vote for me, I will undo all of President Biden's gun policies, which, again, has been the most we've received in 30 years, in 3 decades. And even those things, and these are things that President Biden says all the time, is nowhere near enough. We're not even scratching the surface of things that we need to do.
Yep.
And Trump was like, no, I'll undo those things, which absolutely would result in more people being killed. Right now, we're sitting at 45,000 annually deaths a year due to guns. Half of those are suicides, which Republicans don't even want to address the issue of mental health either.
Nope.
It's not surprising that Trump said that. But this is it's another reminder for us that this guy, if he comes into power, not only will he undo the fabric of democracy and there will be no more rule of law, he'll pack the Supreme Court with more far-right conservative judges. He'll also make sure that we cannot move at all on this issue of guns. You can kiss the abortion rights goodbye. You can kiss climate reform goodbye. All of these issues that progressive people value, rightfully so, it literally will have zero chance of passing, even if Trump respects democracy and just packs the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Even if he says, no, I won't do anything with democracy, which he says he will do. We're not having progress on these issues. So Trump saying it every day, I feel like he's just giving us another political gift. Because now my friends and I are going to run up and down the country in swing seats and say, people listening, if you value your children and your lives, Donald Trump doesn't, and he wants to just go back in time and undo these amazing progressive things that President Biden and Democrats have done over the last 3 years. And if you value that, you have to vote for Democrats. That's straight up the reality we're living in today.
Yeah, and so many of your peers have lost their ability to, the women have lost their reproductive rights, their health care. I think with 13 states now, they basically don't have any. We're seeing that effect on a lot. I live in a red state. We're seeing, you're literally seeing articles and women speaking out saying, I will not go to a school or a university in a state that doesn't give me reproductive freedom. I mean, even if they're raped or, the victim of a rape. I mean, we were shocked. I interviewed Colin Allred, who's running for Senate against Ted Cruz. He's congressman down in Texas. And I think he said the shocking, or Matt maybe correct me. Didn't he say 56,000 rapes have occurred, pregnancies due to rape, since the Dobbs decision in Texas, and they banned rape? I mean, that's got to weigh on so many of the young women in your generation. If not, I'd be shocked.
Well, yeah, and that's a big reason why Republicans are going to lose so strongly, or maybe I should use the word bigly as Trump does.
Use the vernacular, if you will.
Yeah, they're going to lose. So it's going to be, I really do think it won't even be close, because this issue of abortion weighs so heavily on people's lives and minds, like especially in Arizona, where like they had that 1864 abortion bill,
right,
which was like the Civil War era bill. Are you kidding me? I think it was before Arizona was even a state.
Yep,
like, come on,
correct.
Are you being for real? In Florida, where I live, and I'm recording this from right now, they just passed like a 6-week abortion ban, which is insanity. And these are Republicans tell us who they are every single day. And so, the normal people, and this, I don't even think abortion is a political issue at this point. I don't think it's like Democrats are in agreement on this and Republicans aren't. There's a ton of Republican women, men too, conservatives, who are like, yes, why would we? I mean, my neighbors are Republicans. I talk to this about them all the time. How, like, yes, of course we should have this essential basic freedom that's been a part of this country for the last 50 years, right? That should not be overturned. And Republicans are absolutely 100% anti-choice. They want to strip that right even further. They want a national abortion ban. It's just important. And young people do know that, but it's just important that we make sure they do. And make sure they know Republicans want to take your bodily freedoms away and essentially turn it into Handmaid's Tale, where everyone's just a servant of the man, and they're in the kitchen all day.
Yep, and
that's what Republicans want.
And it affects everyone. It affects your ability to get an education. I mean, how are you going to go to a medical school in a state that has banned IVF or banned any kind of reproductive health care? It's like you can't learn about that stuff in a state that's banned it, right? And we had that situation here in Missouri with Washington University, one of the top medical schools in the country. Why would you go to medical school there and you can't even learn or practice basic reproductive health care things that are scientifically sound and common around the world, except for 13 states or so? It really does affect your generation.
I just feel like sometimes America, especially under Republican rule, is kind of living in this alternate reality where every other advanced first world developed country has, of course we have abortion rights. Like, what are you talking about? And like, of course we have gun control. It's like a staple of our country, and we have the lowest crime rate. America, on the other hand, zero gun. It's like we have none of that, none of it. And it's because Republicans just want to take us back to a time where this wasn't normal. They want to take us back to like the 1700s, where it was just only basically white, male, straight people who dominated everything and had complete control over all minorities and women. And that's what they want. And they openly say it. I mean, that's why we're doing this tour, so that we can make 100% sure that this cannot happen. And young people are just not going to accept this. Because we're set to inherit this world, this just horrible, dark, alternate reality that we potentially could go down. We're not going to stand for that. I mean, I don't want my kids, future children, growing up in that world, and I'm not sure. Every other young person I speak to agrees.
I talk to a lot of professionals in the area. Mark or John Del Volpe is a regular guest and dear friend of mine. John's pretty well known in your generation for his polling, his millennial poll, his Gen Z polling, and he talks a lot about how your generation kind of goes into the ballot box, aware of your sisters and brothers, your cousins, the people around the world who look different than you, or have different circumstances, be transgender or homosexual, and the things they're feeling. So I hope you guys, it's a reminder. One of the things we talk about a lot in the show too, along those lines, is this Project 2025 and its cousin, this Agenda 47, which is sort of the MAGA blueprint for government that they're going to bring if Trump wins, or even somebody else Republican. And one of the things I thought about a lot when you and I getting ready to talk is those campus protests, and how you saw local police, especially in the red states like Texas, just wading into these campuses and beating the hell out of peaceful protesters. Literally one of the things they've touted in that, of course, is using the National Guard and the military to stop peaceful protest. I mean, I'm sure. Do you think your peers understand that it's not just there isn't truly an existential threat to the youth of our country when you talk about it being written on paper that they plan to, they plan to implement almost a jackboot, if you will?
So here's the problem, and this is every election's problem, is making sure that people who aren't every day tuned in, like the people watching this, know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I would say the majority of Americans have no clue what Project 2025 is.
Yeah.
Probably the majority of young people, like 18 to 35 age group voters, have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
And that's a priority for us on this tour, is to be talking about that and letting people know, hey, Donald Trump literally wants the Trump dynasty. They want to overturn the 22nd Amendment, which would let Trump run for a third, fourth, fifth term. And that's just scratching the surface of what Project 2025 is. Really what it is the absolute start of, what happened in Germany in 1933 when Hitler rose to power. And it wasn't immediately the Holocaust. It was slow chipping away of freedoms, like what happened in the Soviet Union. Every day, a little bit more of your freedoms are rolled back until one day you wake up and you don't have anything anymore. Yeah. And that's what a Trump dictatorship would look like. It would not be just we wake up one day and it's absolutely like, Nazi Germany. Yep. It would be the start of it. And Project 2025 is the coordinated effort because they, were unsuccessful on January 6th to do it. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to spend all of the Biden administration basically planning this out to say, this is what we're going to do. This is the conservative Republican modern agenda. This is the framework for how to win your election. And this is our policy. And it literally is the rolling back of freedoms and the start of the end of American democracy. That is what's at stake. And to me, that is the most scary thing. It's scarier than gun violence prevention. It's scarier than well, maybe not the climate, but it's just, this is one of the most pressing issues on my minds and all of my peers who are interested in politics. The challenge is for us this year, can we effectively message this to people? Can we make sure that people know? That's the challenge of Democrats in 2024 is how many people can we tell this to? Yeah. And, anyone with a brain is going to go, of course, this is ridiculous. And of course, we're not going to elect this moron to office. But maybe Republicans want that. I mean, there's our friend Adam Mockler, who's a frequent on Midas Touch.
Right on my side.
He talks to Republicans all the time. He goes, would you be okay with a dictatorship? And they go, yeah, we need it. Yeah. We need it right now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's terrifying, isn't it? And we had Federico Finkelstein last week, the book right here, Wannabe Fascist, and he talked about these 4 steps, and dictatorship is the 4th step of fascism, and Trump already cleaned 3 of them, right? Political violence, it's really shocking, actually it is. So let's close with that and really plug this tour. So back to the tour very clearly. Where can we find out more about it? Where, as you mentioned, you're starting July 12th. Where in Texas are you starting, and how can people find out more about this fascinating and really ambitious plan?
Yeah, so if you want to find out more, please go to tourtosavedemocracy.org. It's exactly how it sounds, no acronyms or anything.
Yep.
We have Twitter at @TTSaveDemocracy. And really, this is an entirely grassroots thing. There's no massive, corporations funding us.
No George Soros money? Come on.
Yeah.
I wish you would.
Contrary to popular belief, I do not have George Soros on speed dial.
Shocking.
I cannot ring him up. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So this is an entirely grassroots thing. And we're relying on people like you listening to get involved. So if you can make a donation so that we can afford food, gas, lodging for everyone on tour this summer. If you're able to, come to a stop. We're going to be starting in the San Antonio area on July 12th. And on social media, if you follow us, we'll have more updates coming out of where we're going, the districts. You can sign up, get involved. And I look forward to seeing all of you this summer and working to save our democracy and preserving this country that we love so much.
I love it. I'm inspired by it. I appreciate any help I can give you. We'll be sure to be pushing it out to our followers and my Twitter followers, of course, and everywhere else on my social media to go along. So be sure to keep us updated, and I'll help wherever we can here in the Midas Touch Network. Yeah. We're big fans. Obviously, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm proud of what you're doing. It's inspiring to me. I joke, but you literally have been in politics, I think, longer than I have. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your energy. Oh, by the way, while going to college. So God bless you. And with that, Sam, thanks so much for joining us, man. Best of luck to you. And again, keep us posted.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Oh, man, what a great conversation. People like Sam give me such hope for our future. As always, I love having our young leaders on the show. I've had the opportunity to interview a number of them, and I'm going to keep on bringing them to you because we need to talk about these issues. Man, it's easy to get bogged down talking about the Trump trial all the time, everything else, but we've got a big election year ahead of us, and our youth and this generation that's rising is going to be key to that as they take over more of the electorate and the older generation passes away. But I want to talk about something in the end here. A poll came out in The Guardian. It's a Harris poll, so we'll have to take that with a grain of salt. But the Harris poll was done about perceptions on the economy and perceptions on Biden's performance based in the United States. And I got to tell you, some of the results will make you crazy. So let's throw this up on the screen, will you, Matt? It highlighted many misconceptions that people have about the economy, including, got to believe this, 55% believe the economy is shrinking, and 56% think the U.S. is experiencing a recession, though by every measure, the economy and gross domestic product are growing. 49% of people in the poll believe the S&P 500 stock market is down for the year, though it's gone up 24% in 2023 and is up more than 12% this year and set an actual record of 40,000 for the first time. That the stock market set a new record just this last week. For another 49% believe that unemployment is at a 50-year high, though the unemployment rate has been under 40% for 2 years now, which is a near 50-year low. Now, look, I'm not going to mince words. This is the media's fault. It's easy to say it's because Fox News and the Republicans and they're constantly, and that's true. That is absolutely true. The onslaught of true propaganda and lies being fed into the bloodstream of America, this is the exact effect that they have. This is what they're achieving. They are convincing Americans that black is white, up is down, purple is green, and they can't be convinced of otherwise. And it's shocking when you see polls in an election year where they're blaming things on President Biden, which he has nothing to do with. But the thing is, it's also on the quote, mainstream press. And I'll tell you why. The right and everyone else has managed to make everything political. And in the last 4 or 5 years, you've definitely seen how even facts are political. Facts like the unemployment rate is down. But if you listen to the media, they're going to have to convince you that they have to be convinced that this is a political thing, that saying that Biden's administration has led the lowest unemployment in 50 years is somehow supporting Biden. And therefore, a clear fact based on statistics, based on the same way of measuring we've used for 50, 60 years, based on that, they still have to do a both sides thing to convince us that they're not biased. So what you've got is the right side, Fox, OAN, the Republican Party as a whole, lying about these things, either ignoring them completely when they're good news or truly twisting them in ways that are incredible. For example, you've got Tim Scott on TV saying that Trump had the best black unemployment numbers in history, which is completely a lie. And Biden actually has the best employment record for black Americans in history. But they just go out and lie, and no one corners it, of course, on Fox. But on the right, you've got this on the mainstream side, you've got this deadly fear that if they dare say something that's remotely kind of positive about Biden, well, they'll be accused of being biased. Liberal media. Sean Hannity will do an entire show about them. And that fear has led them to say, well, we don't want to be biased. And that leads to the conversation we had a week ago with our guest talking about Mark Jacob about the New York Times now literally saying that even talking about Biden positive things is like being a campaign for him. No, facts are facts. Unemployment's at a 50-year low and has been. The fact that half of America doesn't seem to freaking know that is a goddamn indictment of our media. And it's easy to blame. Look, I'm the last guy. I've blamed this administration. I've blamed every administration. I blame both sides. But I got to tell you, in this case, it's not them, guys. It's not them. Our media is failing us, and we are failing to spread the word. The idea that half Americans are completely living in an alternative universe of, quote, Kellyanne Conway's alternative facts has gone to such an extreme, we may lose our democracy based purely on vibes. Vibes. Oh, everything's falling down. It's a vibe. Well, how are you doing? I'm doing great. I got promotion, more money. But that's because I'm great. I literally had a friend call me the other day and say that. She was at an event with family, and nearly every person in the room has had a pay raise or a promotion or got a new job. Literally everyone. And she said, wow. And she made a joke. Well, thanks, Biden. They said, that's not Biden. That's me. I'm doing really good. I'm accomplished. Okay. I mean, they literally believed that this was in spite of all the things being done by our administration, the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, all the many things that this administration has done, the infrastructure bill, which is producing hundreds of thousands of jobs and injecting hundreds of millions of dollars in the economy, driving a new construction boom in our country. No, this is just individual achievement, and Biden's not getting any credit. We live in an alternative fact universe. And this poll, I just wanted to talk about a little bit and say, we have to keep on pushing. You'll see it here on this show. You'll see it on the Monsters, of course, network, of course, but we all have to have these conversations with family and friends, say, no, look, okay, congratulations, you earned that. But where we are is where we are because this administration has done things to improve our lives. So anyway, I just want to talk about that. As always, you can find me online, FP Wellman Official on Threads and Instagram. You can find me, FP Wellman, still on Twitter because I'm a glutton for punishment. It's great fun to be on there. Passion, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would love for you to find our new shows in the hot seat. There's a number of them coming out. We're going to have a number of cool candidates. I got a bunch of them lined up I've been telling you about. It's going to be fantastic. They come out on the Midas Touch Network. Check them all out. In the meantime, I urge you, it's up to us. I tell you this every week. We are the ones that control this future. We are the ones that can step forward and help our democracy. It's up to you and me in any little way you can. Wave signs on the side of the street, call your local candidate, donate whom you can, but we are getting close now. And if we all don't step out of our bubbles, we might lose it all. So with that happy note, I look forward to seeing you next week right here on Democracy with FP Wellman on the Midas Touch Network. Have a great week.